Hello everyone, Margo CG77 here, and welcome back. Today, the day that we've all been waiting for King of Fighters fans has arrived. King of Fighters 15 has released today on the 17th, particularly if you're on the PC for either the Steam or Epic Games. It was actually released earlier on the consoles for PS4, PS5, and Xbox if you had picked up the and pre-ordered the Ultimate Edition, and you're actually able to play it on Monday. Unfortunately, I picked up only the physical version, and that didn't even ship till today. So I won't even be getting the physical version of the PS5 Omega Edition for the US till Monday the 21st. Fortunately, of course, I always do pick up the King of Fighters games and fighting games in general on my PC, so I did have to wait. So that was definitely one little negative. This is the 15th game in the King of Fighters series and the second game in the Shunei saga. Shunei, of course, was first released and introduced in King of Fighters 14. This game is available, as I mentioned, on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC via Steam and Epic Games. This is also one of the first games where there's actually crossplay between PS4, PS5, and between Steam and Epic Games as far as being on the PC. It is also another of the games that has rollback netcode for SNK. Now again, this is the second chapter of what I hear is 3 or possibly 4 games in the series, and this is the only second SNK game to actually use the Unreal Engine. As I mentioned in my King of Fighters 14 video, Samurai Showdown Reboot that was released in 2019 also did reuse Unreal Engine 4. So I'm hoping for in the future that now we are on high-end PCs or on the current gen consoles as PS5 and Xbox Series S and X that maybe they'll use Unreal Engine 5 for the future. On PC, this game does have a ray tracing button for on or off, though I'm not quite sure what is being really ray traced in the game. For the PC version, there is one slight knock currently. So, right now in the options screen, as of February 17th, 2022, there isn't a VSync mode. So, the way to do it is you have to go into your NVIDIA GeForce Experience control panel and manually activate your VSync mode along with possibly um, anti-aliasing if you're playing it on a lower res, lower at least lower than 4K. Fortunately, I'm playing on 4K, so it looks just fine, especially on a 32-inch monitor. The game itself has been in development since August of 2017, especially once they moved over and went to Unreal Engine 4. There was some delays, of course, thanks to the pandemic, which of course delayed a lot of games and a lot of game publishers. There were some open beta tests earlier this year, or sorry, later of 2021, not quite early 2022, which at least gave some folks some early chances to take a look and play with the game itself. A lot of the mechanics in this game were really introduced in King of Fighters 14, so there aren't really that many huge changes. They did release a new Shatter Strike, which both gives you a little bit of extra armor and also stuns your opponent. It gives you a chance to start a combo opportunity. Max mode does return. It still costs 2 bars of meter now instead of 1. EX special moves can now be used outside of max mode. It only costs about half a bar. You can also use Guard Crush during max mode as well, and you can also activate max mode in a quick version. You can do that while landing a hit or guarding against an incoming attack. So one of the nice thing is of course, well, nice for newcomers to the game. Maybe not so much for the for fans of the series. There is some contention to this, and I did mention this in my King of Fighters 14 review. That with auto combo by basically mashing the light punch button 4 times, you are able to get a climax super special move. And on the fourth time is when you get that. So, for example, if you do 3 light punches, and then on the fourth punch, If you do a light punch, you get a climax super special move if you have 4 meters. If you do 3 light punches and then a light kick, you just get a special move. And then if you do 3 light punches and then a hard punch, you get a super special move. And then if you do 3 light punches and a hard kick, you get a max super special move. Now, most of the King of Fighters 15 cast primarily remains the same. There are some new characters. The South American team is currently absent from the roster. As part of the new characters, they did release Isla, who's basically Shune's rival, which also uses those kind of JoJo Bizarre Adventure stand hands that Shune has as well. Dolores, who's also part of the rivals team, and Cronin, which is of course K Quad 9 from the original 2001 NES Saga series, which, as many of you may or may not know, had some legal problems as it looked pretty close to a certain anime movie character. Now, for this game, of course, there's some changes with the Hero team, China team, and the Sacred Treasures team as well. So, with that in mind, we'll be going through the team buildup in just a second. And the new hero team is Shune, Mitten-kun, and Benimaru Nikaido. The Sacred Treasures team is Kyo Kusanagi, Yori Yagami, and Chizaru Kagura. Fatal Fury team remains the same with Terry and Andy Bogard and Joe Higashi. The Orochi team is Yashiro Nanakase, Shermie, and Chris. Art of Fighting team is Ryo Sakazaki, Robert Garcia, and King. The Ikari Warriors team is Leona Heidern, Ralph Jones, and Clark Still. Secret Agents team is Vanessa, Blue Mary, and Luong. The Super Heroines team is Athena Samiya, Mai Shiranui, and Yuri Sakazaki. And then the Galaxy Anton Wrestling team is Antonov, who is the sub boss in King of Fighters 14. Ramon and King of Dinosaurs is basically Tizok from Garu Mark of the Wolves. The Rivals team, or Isla team, is Isla, Dolores, and Hyder. K-Dash is K-Dash, Maximum Whip. The Cronin team, which used to be the Nest team, was now Cronin McDougal, Kula Diamond, and Angel. The Ash team is Ash Crimson, Elizabeth, and Kukuri. The sub-boss is Reverse, with the final boss being Otoma Raja, or Raga. And as part of the deluxe version, if you did pick it up, you will get the Season 1 DLC teams. And then the first team will be the Garo team with Rock Howard, B. Janet, and Gato. The Southtown team is Geese Howard, Billy Kane, and Ryuji Yamazaki. And then there'll be a Season 2, which unfortunately is not part of the Deluxe Team 1. If you buy as part of the package, you do have to pay for it separately. There'll be a DLC Team 3 and a Team 4, which haven't been announced yet. And the stages in this game definitely gets quite an uptake in the graphic or the fidelity versions. There's the classic Chinese garden team in Chengsu, China for the hero team. The Osaka construction site in Osaka, Japan is for the Sacred Treasures team. Then you've got the beach resort, known as the Southtown Sound Beach. That is, of course, for the Fatal Fury team. You've got the concert hall for the Orochi team. The Pow Pow Cafe in Southtown for the Art of Fighting team. The Sahara, Egypt for Ikari Warriors team. Province Main Street in Paris is for the Secret Agents team. Province Main Street during the day in Paris, France is for the Super Heroines team. The Hyper Galaxy Ring is for Galaxy Anton Wrestling team. The Subway Tracks is for the Rivals team. The Beach Resort Sunset in Southtown is for K-Dash's team. The Abandoned Theme Park is Cronin's team. Freezing Forest is the Ash theme. And then the Coliseum Arena is the final match. The Ominous Arena is when you fight Reverse. And the Crystallation Arena is when you fight Otoma Raga. Of course, as always, there is a random training stage as well. And with that out of the way, we'll get to the summaries as far as graphics, sound, gameplay, replayability, and the overall overview rating. So graphics this time around, King of Fighters 15 and the SNK development team have decided to go with Unreal Engine 4, which is what they did for the Samurai Showdown refresh slash reboot. So this time around, the characters look tons better, especially compared to how King of Fighters Vanilla 14 vanilla version first released in August of 2016, and even after it was completely updated, 15 still looks better than 14. The background stages themselves are very well done. There's a decent amount of special effects, lighting, and character movement. Not quite as much character movement as there were in, say, past King of Fighters games, even on the MVS, or of course in even King of Fighters 13, which is done in a higher res hand drawn artwork, which was still amazing to this day. The characters themselves are well animated, they're well shadowed and also shaded. They they look very well. They're very crisp. There's no lag whatsoever. Especially if, again, with the PC version, you do have to enable VSync manually using your driver cards, whether that be ATI or the NVIDIA GeForce, and actually turn on that VSync mode manually. As unfortunately, SNK did not have that as part of the options at launch for the PC version. The um, characters themselves, I think it's a good step up and definitely bodes well for the next game in the SNK Playmore series. Again, hopefully they'll reintroduce either any of their Kazuna encounters or World Heroes. I do still want to see World Heroes in a more anime-esque Guilty Gear style of kind of graphics or drawings. It's very sharp as far as both the characters and the backgrounds themselves, a lot of small, minute details. I still honestly don't know what the RTX on and off button actually activates in the background, is what's actually using RTX or reflection tracing. I'm not sure if that's lighting or if that's actually like reflections. So it is one thing I do need to kind of look around and ask what if folks have noticed anything. As far as the sound and music, the music is definitely a much better soundtrack than 14. There's definitely a lot of really good beats. I wouldn't say, again, still bangers. Maybe it's just nostalgia talking, but I do prefer a lot of the older soundtracks for the previous game in the series. But this one is definitely no slouch. Would I listen to it nonstop? I'm not sure. There's probably about three or four that I do really like. The music is a little bit muted by default, so if you do want to hear it, you probably have to crank it up a little bit or maybe lower down some of the sound effects. That said, the sound effects are definitely very bone crunching. There's a very good weight and hit that matches the animation style to both the sound, so in that respect, very well done. Replayability, especially as this game just released, and of course they'll be uploading it and updating it with new DLC teams. Hopefully they'll add some extra stages as well as part of those extra team can't talk teams, and hopefully maybe some gameplay balances for some of the characters. They did mess around with some of the character controls again, which SNK always does with a lot of their games. But at least for most of my mains, which is both the Fatal Fury and also the Art of Fighting teams, they haven't changed too much. I am going to try to branch out. Just this evening alone, I went and beat the game with a more custom team with Yori, K Dash, and Kyo. So I'm looking to, again, kind of relearn those characters, especially in their newest iteration. So that replayability wise, I think right now it's pretty much right now a solid 8, but I think with the upcoming changes like they always do, I'm sure it'll be a solid 9 or a 10 in the next 2, possibly even 3 years, depending on how long they intend to support this. At launch, there's been really a lot of support when it comes to online tournaments, which is actually pretty surprising and also quite exciting. I know a lot of SNK fighting game fans have been waiting for this game, especially seeing how much better it's looked versus King of Fighters 14, and of course the good reception that most folks received with Samurai Showdown. The one thing I did notice on the PC version, there was a little bit of a lag when it comes to the block. So I am curious to see once my physical PS5 version comes in, if that'll also happen when I play that, or if it's something that's due to the the current settings for the PC. So I am curious to see if that stays on. Overall, giving graphics, for me it's a solid 9 at this current stage. It is very pretty, especially at 4K. Right now I'm not using anti-aliasing, that's currently off, so I think it's still pretty sharp already. Thanks when you're playing on a 4K monitor, especially at only 32 inches. As far as the VSync, again, I did have to manually turn that on. Otherwise, without it being as part of the game options, it is a little choppy. There's definitely some choppiness to it if you don't do that. That said, again, still a solid 9 out of 10 for me. Music, sound, good solid 8. Replayability, as I mentioned, is at least between an 8 right now, possibly even a 10 in the future, depending on what they do with the upcoming updates and, of course, downloads. You, of course, can pick this up on PS4 and PS5, which is cross-play compatible. It is also fortunately available on the Xbox Series S and X as well. And then for PC, it is cross-play between both the Steam and the Epic versions. As it is a brand new game, you can pick it up, of course, for $59.99 if for the standard game itself. The deluxe edition does come with pre-order bonuses such as Terry Bogard's Mark of the Wolves outfit or skin, and Leona Hydern's original, green top and shorts military outfit from the older King of Fighters game. I'm hoping they release more alternate costumes, especially for some of their other maybe alternate side series or alternate looks that they've had, or even maybe run a contest for having fans of the series submit their own costume ideas where SNK would then implement those. One of the things that I do like about SNK is when they do their alternate costumes, not just the color swaps, they also take time to actually work on the animation. So, for example, it's very subtle, but with Terry Bogard's new Garo skin, they actually took the time to reanimate his wind pose to not include the hat. And also when he's actually, you don't see any of his clothes clipping like you do in a lot of other fighting games where they don't take the time and effort to reanimate the small changes where, maybe their alternate or new DLC outfit would actually clip. A good example of that is the Street Fighter V series, especially with all the myriad of DLC costumes that they sell or sold in packs. A lot of times, a lot of the extra accessories or accoutrements of those costumes would often end up clipping with the character model. So I am glad that SNK took the extra time to do the extra animation and detail for those costumes. Um, this game right now for me is a complete pickup. I mean, honestly, if you're a King of Fighters fan, more than likely you've already pre-ordered it and you're busy playing it now. The boss itself, at least on the default level, isn't too hard. It is still pretty normal. I would say it's like a 2 or 3 versus a MVS 4 stage. Um, but when it does decide to attack and combo, like a normal SNK boss, it does a lot of damage, especially in its second form. So everyone, I'm glad you had a chance to watch this overview with me. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And I will be doing an unboxing of the Omega version once that finally arrives on the 21st. So everyone, hope you have a great evening. Hope you're having fun. And I look forward to seeing everyone online and playing some online tournaments.